You're listening to Behind the Mic with AudioFile magazine. I'm Joe Reed, and I have Alex Richey with me. Hello, Alex.
Hello, Joe.
How are you going to close out the week? What piece of horror do you have for us?
Today we are going to talk about The Lamb by Lucy Rose, read by Emma Rydal.
I don't know Emma Rydal as a narrator.
I didn't know Emma Rydal before this either, and it might surprise you to know that this audiobook was so good it did win an Earphones Award.
That wouldn't surprise. Oh, and we don't know who she is, so this could be a new narrator for us. Very nice.
The start of a fruitful career, I hope, because this was just delightful.
Tell me about the book.
So this book stars Margot, a young child who lives with her mother. So lost and wayward travelers whose cars tend to break down near where they live are then lured to Margot and her mama's home for help, only to be murdered and eaten. Mama refers to these lost travelers as strays.
So we're back to cannibalism. It seems to be a theme for the week.
Yes, just a bit.
Yeah, okay. So they eat people. Tell us a little more, because obviously there has to be more going on.
Absolutely. So Rydal is narrating with her Northern English accent, and I found that to be a beautiful accent for this particular book. She's really gentle. She's really warm, which is a very interesting juxtaposition with the subject matter of the audiobook.
Mm-hmm.
But it works particularly well for the child protagonist. She doesn't know any other way than what her mother shows her. So I think that innocence really comes through with this audiobook.
So she's basically living alone in the woods with her mother.
That's right. Until one day a beautiful woman named Eden shows up. At first she's a stray, but soon she joins the household and becomes Mama's new lover. And as Mama and Eden's relationship deepens, Margot is developing her own friendships with a schoolmate and her bus driver. Now, this is special because Margot's not really used to seeing the humanity of people because her mom doesn't really see the humanity of people, hence calling them strays. So for Margot to develop these relationships, it develops the story in a really interesting direction.
Okay, so Margot is going to school.
Yes, Margot goes to school, and she has to be very careful not to tell anyone about her life.
And I'm assuming Eden then also alters the relationship between the mother and Margot in some way.
Yes, so Eden wants all of Mama's attention, but Margot just wants her and Mama's lives to go on like they were before. But we can't have both.
So does Eden eat people too?
She does, yes. She joins in with the household's diet.
Tell me some more about Emma Rydal's narration. You said it was very gentle and there was a really interesting juxtaposition. How does she do Eden and Mama and the other characters?
Yeah, so like I said, Margot is full of wonder about the world in a very youthful way that is covered really well by Rydal's portrayal. And she also does... Mama has a lot of sudden tempers. And I found myself, like, my heart was racing in some of those moments because it was just narrated so well. And then there's also Eden, who's just very casually cruel. And like, I was upset. Like, this really got to me. There's a good reason for this one to get an Earphones Award.
Okay, why don't we listen to a little?
Sure. So in the sound sample we're going to be listening to, Eden is teaching Margot how to set a rabbit trap. Their plan is to eat the rabbit while they wait for their next stray to wander to their home.
All right, this is The Lamb by Lucy Rose, read by Emma Rydal.
A rabbit is no stray, but it will make a nice meal. This looks too big for a rabbit, I said, holding out the frame we'd half built and imagined the size of it once it was finished. And what if its teeth managed to nibble all the way through? Her hands snaked around my waist and pulled me closer, up onto her knee. Then I saw her as closely as I ever would. I saw what Mama saw. Her eyes were somehow fiery, a muddy green and grey with yellow rings around the darkness. Eden was composed but wild beneath the surface. No rabbit can make its way through fishing wire, she said, taking my index finger and winding the wire around it. See what happens when I pull tight? She asked, pulling the twine. The top of my finger went purple until the wire made a cut near my fingernail. A bubble of blood balanced on my skin before scurrying down my knuckle and into my palm.
Yikes, that is a scene.
Yes, it is.
Oh, yikes. But I see what you mean when you say gently narrated, because you could see how that could have been narrated so differently and still be absolutely appropriate.
Right. So despite the high amount of carnage that this audiobook has, it's also strangely the easiest to listen to.
That is okay. And an earphones winner.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm going to listen for Emma Rydal more. I also like her voice.
Yeah, she's really great. I do hope to hear more from her.
I do as well. Well, as I said yesterday, it's been a week.
What a week.
What a week. Okay, carnage, gore, but actually 4 really good books. Alex, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
We were talking about The Lamb by Lucy Rose, read by Emma Rydal. And tomorrow, we have a bonus edition of Behind the Mic. We're premiering a new feature called Who's Listening? That's where AudioFile talks with top authors and narrators and more people about how and why they listen to audiobooks. And our first guest is Patty Callahan Henry, the award-winning best-selling author. That's tomorrow on Behind the Mic. Support for Behind the Mic comes from Harper, publisher of Playful by Design, your stress-free guide to raising confident, creative kids through independent play. Narrated by Miriam Sandler, available everywhere audiobooks are sold.